Welcome back to the channel. So Sony uploaded a PlayStation 5 Pro like tech deep dive. Mark Cerny he like walked through the technology for PS5 Pro, and the whole beginning of this. Because I mean, there's still a little bit left. I'm making this video right now. I'm gonna finish watching this after I'm done. Because what he said here is like he finally told the truth at the end. He was like, "Yeah, yeah, PSSR isn't ready. It's still bleeding out. It's losing data. It's bottlenecking." He finally said that at the end because we've been seeing games reacting to PSSR, and PSSR is a child. He said that like this motherfucker is a kid. They're still trying to teach it how to do things because it doesn't know what the fuck it's doing yet. But that's what you do when you start building the AI technology. But in the beginning, he was talking about theoretical this, motherfucker potentially that. Nothing real concrete with these enhancements the PS5 Pro really got because it's all case by case. It's just the cases that they did. He said they did synthetic simulations, and I'm like, so you did use real games to test these fucking things to see if they actually give you 65% this, 17% that, 45% this? No, they just ran random simulations on the chip. What the fuck? Oh my goodness, Mark Cerny, bro. See, I like tech deep dives like this. I really like technology, and damn, he can bullshit his way through a goddamn press conference. And he's talking to the Sony executives. I know exactly who he's talking to, because he had to tell them in the beginning that hey, this is a mid-gen console. So we're not looking for high volume of sales when it comes to this thing. He's talking to the executives. They're in that room for sure because he's on a stage. He's presenting shit to them that he know they don't fucking understand, but he's gonna sound big brain as fuck to them. And they're like, okay, this nigga knows exactly what the fuck he's talking about. And then he like gloss in the shit that like you actually need to pay attention to, like how this shit is not working as intended. They do have some cool ass shit though. I wonder if I could find it. They don't timestamp this shit. Cause like the ray tracing thing, that nigga just talking bullshit, bro. That nigga just talking bullshit. But I mean, it's ray tracing. Nobody really cares about that. Not really. The neural network thing, where he was showing like how resolutions get upscaled, downscaled, and then re-upscaled, and they're trying to figure out how the fuck to do all this real fast. I was like, that nigga Mark Cerny's onto some shit. Cause this, like, when he was talking about this, oh, I was paying the fuck attention. This shit is kind of cool. And then you start talking about teraflops versus tops, and it's like, fine, bro, you're just using tech terms. Nobody really care about that. They got 300 tops, lovely, lovely. But then they start talking about the chip. Where the fuck the chip one go? Cause he's talking about how you're using the RAM to help upscale the things. Cause he's like, we got to do it faster because that shit was skipping frames and it was losing data as well. So you're talking about all the data that gets cut out when they're going frame by frame because they can't do a whole image at a time. So they were doing pieces of the image, and some of the image, the lower resolution it goes, you have to discard so much of the image. So you have to keep re-upscaling that motherfucker. He was talking about a whole lot of things, and I'm like, damn, they really was in the lab with this shit. But then this fucking took me out, bro. Because these are all the cores. These are the cores on the PS5 Pro's chip. And inside these cores, hold on, play the thing. Play the thing. Where's my headset? Because this shit, I'm like, these niggas onto something. The PS5 Pro is garbage for sure. But the next console, nigga, they are labbing over there at PlayStation, bro. The next console, this is a beta test. That's the only reason they made a PS5 Pro is they wanted to beta test some new technology. They said they gave the new technology to a couple of developers to see what the fuck they do with it. A couple of them broke the fucking system because, PSSR didn't know what the fuck the color blue was and shit. Like dumb shit like that. And then like some real issues start popping up and they're trying to like iron all those out. So the PS5 Pro is literally built for them to learn how to use the technology that they're building over there at Sony. This was not made for consumers to actually get a good product. This is a goddamn dev kit for people to learn, for Sony to learn, for PlayStation to learn how to use this new technology. and where it can go. It was not for the consumer to actually enjoy it. That is what I learned from this thing. But oh, this right here,
Our mindset. What we're doing on PS5 Pro is using the
this
vector registers in the workgroup processors as that RAM.
they're creating fucking RAM in their fucking GPU cores. They're just making more RAM, bro. I'm like, Sony, buddy, you're that nigga Mark Cerny is that nigga's actually is as talented as they said he was. Because remember they put faster RAM in here, but then they put slower RAM in here to run like the back end of PlayStation 5, which is so stupid because that's why that motherfucker still takes so long to turn on. You see so many tests on YouTube of people turning on a PS5 Pro next to an Xbox Series X and Xbox Series X smoking the fucking PS5 Pro. Just the booting because the PS5 Pro they put all their system shit on slower memory than the memory they use for everything else. He purposely did it. He said it in this goddamn breakdown that they put the slower memory in there on purpose because they didn't want to put another fast memory in there just for the OS, just for the system shit. That's why the fucking PS5 Pro still runs so goddamn slow because they put the slower memory in there on purpose. But then they use these fucking cores to make more RAM for the machine learning. I'm like, that shit's actually genius, bro. That shit.
Each workgroup processor has 4 sets of registers, each 128K in size, and with a bandwidth of over a terabyte per second.
And see, a terabyte, what he's talking about with this is like micro data versus a terabyte of like storage data. So they sound the same, but they mean different things and reads and stuff. But let them keep going.
30
Let
workgroup
them cook.
processors therefore give us 15 megabytes of memory at a combined bandwidth of 200 terabytes per second, which is to say several hundred times faster than system memory.
So they use the fucking GPU cores to make faster memory than the fast memory they put in the fucking console. And I'm like, these niggas. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's only 15 megabytes, but it's moving so fast that it's getting data in and out of these bitches faster than the RAM that they put in that bitch to actually move the fucking data. And all 30 of these bitches are going to be doing that simultaneously. I was like, future this, because right now we know it's not working. A lot of developers are struggling with it. It's not really working. But future this, oh, that hey, they're gearing up. They're working real hard. See, we don't know what Microsoft is labbing next. Because everybody's like, oh, handheld and this and that. We don't know what the fuck they labbing next. Not for real. But we see what PlayStation is labbing next. The PS5 Pro is literally an infant. That motherfucker's gonna grow up. In the next 4 years, this same console is releasing as the PS6. And it's gonna be astronomical. It is gonna, like, technically, that motherfucker's gonna be good. I'm still not gonna get one. I mean, I don't like the lineup that they got. There's a whole lot of factors into going into why the hell I'm not getting one. I got plenty of stuff, but the tech they're labbing right now in real time in front of our face, it might be scuffed right now. I seen a lot of tech YouTubers shitting on the PS5 Pro because the tech that they said was going to be in it is not working properly. But after watching this fucking technical breakdown, I'm like, this is future planning in real time. They're like, yeah, this shit's ass right now. But oh, give us 4 more years of actual real life testing because they were testing this shit in the lab with just random programs. They weren't testing this shit in the field for real. But now they're going to test that shit in the field for the next 4 years with every big game that comes out. So the PS6 is going to be, oh, that shit is going to be a technical marvel. It's definitely going to be a piece of fucking work.
Of course, the roadmap RDNA's architecture and instruction set required some modifications to take better advantage of that register RAM. We ended up adding 44 new shader instructions. Those instructions take that freer approach to register RAM access and also implement the math needed for the CNNs, which is primarily done in 8-bit precision.
Yeah, but I don't know why the fuck they're doing it in the 8-bit. Maybe because 8-bit is, smaller chunks go faster. That's what he's really talking that, oh, we took a simplified approach to all of this. So the smaller pieces would move faster. That's what he's getting at. Because Xbox is moving bigger things at like high speed. But like Mark Cerny is like, no, we can just make those things smaller and move them faster, so we can move more things real fast if they're small. And he's been definitely talking about that. But when it goes to like 16-bit, all that shit slows down. And he actually showed that in this as well. Where the fuck was he talking about it? Were you talking about how when it goes 16-bit, everything slows down? I think I skipped it. It's like earlier on. Yeah, it was this part right here, where it's just definitely going to slow down. But then he talked about how PC gaming and renders with like DLSS and FSR and things like that, and how PSSR is different. But then where the fuck does he get to the part that he shouldn't have said out loud?
And got to see all kinds of issues cropping up once PSSR was actually integrated into games. And that required yet more training passes.
See, because when they first ran all this shit, like you said in the beginning, shit was running a single fucking game. They were just running simulations and shit on the hardware. Like, oh, this is getting good performance. But then they start putting that shit in the field, and he's like, all sorts of shit start popping up. Shit start breaking left and right. And I think this is, like, this right now, they don't give a fuck that it's broken, because the machine is learning. That's why it's called machine learning. They haven't been teaching it for too long. I think they've been teaching it for like 2 years or some shit, like from what he said, because they've been building all the hardware first. And then they start trying to get that motherfucker to learn shit. So the machine is learning right now. The PlayStation 5 Pro fan base are teaching this machine. And the developers developing for it are teaching this machine what it needs to be doing and how it needs to do these things. And then the hardware, they're just going to keep building on it because they left a whole lot of shit out. Why? Because they didn't want to have people making two different versions of games, because a PS5 Pro would have turned into a PS6. That's what he said earlier on when he was talking about why they built the chip the way they did. Because he didn't want this motherfucker to turn into a PS6. That's exactly why. Because he's like, oh yeah, we left a whole lot of technology off because we want the PS5 Pro to be another PS5. And just beta test the other shit. This is still a PS5, but you're beta testing the other shit. So when a PS6 comes out with a full new chip, they're definitely in for some shit.
Some of those issues were trivial.
Yeah, he's talking about when they don't know the color blue.
Perfect blue in its sky, and PSSR had never seen perfect blue in its training. It had
How the fuck this nigga don't know what blue is?
no
I mean, it's a child.
Of course, some of the issues we encountered were much more complex. Looking back at the 4 years since we started this project, I'm so glad that we made the time-intensive decision to build our own technology. Results are good. And just as importantly, we've learned so much about how AI can improve game graphics. It can only make our future brighter.
And when he said that, I'm like, I knew these niggas was beta testing, and they're beta testing in the field. It's genius though. Because most niggas not gonna talk down on the PS5 Pro. 90% of people weren't gonna buy one anyway. But the tech that they were labbing, 4 more years? 4 more years of them labbing this tech is definitely going to be good. And it's going to be way better than good. Because they're putting a whole lot of... They banked a whole lot of money on this shit. That's why I talk about the AI upscaling for 90% of the fucking video. Well, I guess like 65% of the video. All this is AI. Where he talks about how they was gonna put an NPU in there, but then like, but then we have to build a whole new NPU, so they just slap some of that shit on the GPU and it's working, but they needed it to work faster, and that's when they talk about how they get the RAM bits in there in the cores, and I'm like, this nigga, they was in the lab, he was really in deep. That's why we didn't see that nigga since the PS5 launched. I was wondering where the fuck was Mark Cerny at, because the PS5 launched, he was just fucking gone. That nigga was just gone. It's because he went back in the fucking lab. Oh, this nigga Mark Cerny, bro. And we were just talking about this on a live stream with Oh, about the Series X's technology and what Microsoft is gonna do to X. And this nigga went back in the lab. Instantly back in the lab. He said the PS5 didn't even launch yet and he was back in the fucking lab. And I'm like, he knew, bro. He knew. He's like, nah, nigga, we can't go out like this. We can't go out
that
like
was
this.
the background and details of our improvements in these three key areas on PS5 Pro: the larger GPU, the advanced ray tracing, and the AI-driven upscaling. I'm going to restate those three somewhat, and then I'd like to take a moment to do something we very rarely do, which is talk about the future.
Because you know this shit was future proofing the fuck out the next console. But see, the PS5 is a piece of shit hardware. Like, y'all don't understand, bro. When it comes down to technology pushing gaming forward, the PS5 had none. The PS5 had none. That's why those three things are a big deal. Because the PS5 had no technology pushing shit forward. In the beginning of this, he said, yeah, like the PS5 had SSD. SSDs are fucking trivial, bro. You probably made a fast one, but SSDs are trivial. Those are trivial matters. And then they made fucking Tempest 3D audio. Come on now, bro. Come on now, bro. You made your own audio system. Lovely. It's fine. But those are the only two things, technology-wise, that the PS5 launched with. And then you look at the Xbox. It launched with all kind of new tech. All kind of crazy features. It was doing so much shit. I'm like, this is the best console on the market. And then PlayStation saw that shit. Like, okay. Cerny's back in the lab instantly. Before the consoles even launched, he was back in the lab instantly. Why? Because he needed some new tech. All the new tech Microsoft put in this shit, he like, yeah, bro, we need to get in the lab. This nigga got in the fucking lab, bro. And like, this is what we need. See, on the gaming side of things, I mean, who knows what their games are going to be doing differently, because they've been making third-person action games for the last fucking 10 years. Third-person action games for the last 10 years. Then they got a platformer out the door. But like, he's really trying to push technology forward. And building his own AI machine, I think that was a smart play. But then,
specifically, I'd like to talk about the future potential in each of these three key areas.
Yep.
First, there's rasterized rendering, by which I mean the conventional rendering strategies that were all we had up through PS4 Pro or so. There's not a whole lot of growth left here.
He said, rendering, that shit's peaked out. 4K, 8K, none of that shit matters. Rendering is peaked out. Growing GPUs means nothing anymore.
Mostly has to come from making the GPU bigger or memory faster. Ray tracing is different. It's still early days for the technology, and I suspect we're in for several quantum leaps in performance over the next decade.
Ray tracing is still over. That shit's overrated as fuck, bro. Ray tracing is so overrated. Nigga, I can go play Skyrim and look at some God rays, and them shits was perfectly placed by a random developer. That's not even ray traced. That shit just looks fucking good. Lighting looks good if developers just paint that shit to look good. Ray tracing does nothing. It does nothing. Ray trace shadows, ray trace reflections, like screen space reflections look better in so many situations. But ray tracing is so dumb. But yeah, he's like, performance of ray tracing is going to get better because more people are going to use it. They're going to make it faster. They're going to make it more reliable. And then machine learning.
Machine learning, though, has the greatest potential for growth, and
that's why they put that fucking console out right now, because they need that motherfucker to learn from somebody. They couldn't teach that shit in the lab because they didn't have nothing to run on it. But now, every developer making games for the PS5, for the PS5 Pro, the machine is going to learn from that. It's going to learn all new data, new rendering techniques, upscaling. It's going to keep learning infinitely and faster than any human could learn those things.
That's an area we're beginning to focus on.
And then he said there's an area so PlayStation is focusing on AI technology going forward. So he's like, fuck the rendering. Bigger GPUs, faster speeds are only going to get harder to create. But AI can fix all of it. And that's where they're going for the future. AI technology is what Sony Interactive and PlayStation wants to do for their console, and I'm like, damn, them niggas might be on to something.
Some of that growth in machine learning will come from more performant and more efficient hardware architectures. The ML
The
architecture in
PS6.
PS5 Pro is quite good, but we did not, in fact, achieve that holy grail of a fully fused network when running PSSR. It's close, but PSSR can't quite keep all of its intermediate data on chip, and therefore does, to some degree, bottleneck on system memory access.
And we knew that for a fact. That's why when those games start cropping up and they were busted in PSSR, we was like, wait, what is this doing, Sony? You said this shit was gonna be good. It's not good. It's not good. It's bottlenecking hard as fuck. Because when those games need more memory, PSR gets less of it. PSSR gets less memory. I mean, PSSR has less memory, especially the fast memory. It's going to start just spilling out. Data is going to start spilling out everywhere. And that's what bottlenecking is. That's what the bottleneck is. And it's like, the PS6 is going to fucking bang. The PS6 is going to fucking bang, though. And especially when it comes to AI technology. Dude, know that shit is going to be good. Nobody gives a fuck about ray tracing. Nobody gives a fuck about, not really. Ray tracing is overrated. Superficial. Now they got path tracing. There's so many. We don't care. Screen space my shit. Screen space my shit. Put some random lighting in there. Cause I mean, when we look at games, so like all the text Starfield put in there, all the text Starfield put in about the planet is revolving around the sun, and the sun's light reflecting on the planet is relative to its position in the solar system in real time. Nobody gave a fuck about that. Why? Because the loading screens are too long. That technology went nobody gave a fuck about that tech because the loading screens are too long. They didn't see the vision, bro. And I'm like, that's some peak ass tech they put in Starfield. So I mean, they're putting some good tech into the PlayStation. It might be shit right now, but in 4 years when the PS6 comes, I think they're gonna cook. This nigga's been in the lab for the last 4 years. He couldn't wait to come out because he's like, bro, it might be an infant right now, but when this motherfucker bake a little bit, get a little bit of sun, get some human interaction, it's gonna learn to be a child. Oh shit, bro. This is actually real informative. I enjoyed this a lot. I wonder if y'all gonna enjoy this too. Make sure to like button, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one.